Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the first four foundational declarations of faith in Islam, which are known as the Kalmas. We're going to break down exactly what they are, what they mean, and maybe most importantly, how they build on each other, step by step.
So, here's what we've got lined up. We're going to walk through each of the first four Kalmas, one by one, so we can really get a feel for their unique message. Then we'll pull it all back together at the end to see the complete picture and how they form this incredible foundation of belief.
Okay, let's get right into it with the first one, the Kalma Tayyibah. This is known as the Declaration of Purity, and it's really the starting point, the absolute foundation of faith.
You know, the name itself gives us a huge clue. Tayyib literally means purity. So this is the declaration that purifies a person's faith, stripping it down to the most essential, central belief.
Now, this first part is arguably the single most important statement in all of Islam. It means, quite simply, there is no deity but Allah. It's an incredibly powerful and absolute declaration.
And then, the second part follows right after, completing the declaration, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. This is so important because it connects that belief in one God directly to the prophet who brought his message to humanity.
So you put those two powerful phrases together, and what do you get? You get the absolute bedrock of Islamic belief. It's a simple, pure statement that serves as the core creed, the foundation that everything else is built upon. All right, so with that foundation in place, let's move on to the second Kalma, the Kalma Shahadat. You'll see how this builds directly on what we've just discussed. Now, the word Shahadat is really the key to understanding this one. It doesn't just mean a statement, it means testimony, the act of bearing witness. It's a very personal act, like saying, I myself see this and I testify that it is true. And you can see that personal touch right from the get-go. It starts with ashhadu, which means I bear witness. See how that small addition completely transforms the first Kalma? It becomes a deeply personal declaration.
Then, it adds this really important clarification to hammer home the idea of God's absolute oneness. He is one, he has no partner. This phrase is just a powerful reinforcement of that core concept of strict monotheism.
And it finishes by testifying again, but this time about the prophet, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger. You know, the addition of servant here is really significant. It emphasizes his humanity right alongside his divine role as a messenger. And this really captures the evolution of the idea perfectly. When you look at the full text, you can clearly see we've moved from a general, universal truth to a personal, deeply held testimony. It's a statement that an individual is willing to stand up and personally vouch for. All right, next up is the third Kalma, known as Kalma Tamjeed. Here, the focus kind of shifts. We move from declaration and testimony to this powerful expression of awe and reverence for God's majesty.
So, the name Tamjeed itself means glorification. And that's exactly what this Kalma is all about. Its entire purpose is to praise the greatness, the majesty, and the absolute power of God.
This first bit is like a powerhouse of praise. It strings together some of the most common and potent phrases in Islam. It means, glory be to Allah, and all praises for Allah, and there is no deity but Allah, and Allah is the greatest. It then concludes with this incredibly profound statement of humility and total reliance on God. It means, and there is no might or power except with Allah, the Most High, the Most Great. It's just a powerful way of acknowledging that any and all strength comes from one single divine source. So when you look at the whole thing together, it becomes so clear that this isn't just one type of praise. It's this comprehensive tribute that covers the glory, the greatness, and the ultimate, all-encompassing power of God. It's a lot to take in. Okay, let's look at our final one for today, the fourth Kalma, Kalma Tawheed. This one is amazing because it brings us full circle, right back to that core concept of unity, but it explores the idea in so much more detail. Tawheed is, well, it's a massive concept in Islam. It's absolutely central. It refers to the absolute, indivisible oneness and uniqueness of God. And this entire Kalma is dedicated to really affirming and exploring that very concept.
So how does this fit in with what we already know?
Well, think of it this way. The first Kalma plants the seed of belief. The fourth Kalma takes that seed and grows it into a full tree by describing the very nature of God's oneness and his absolute sovereignty over everything. And you can really see that expansion right here in the text. It doesn't just state his existence, it goes on to detail his attributes. It affirms his complete ownership of the kingdom, that he alone deserves all praise, and his absolute power over life, death, and literally everything else in existence.
Okay, so we've walked through all 4 of them one by one. Now, let's zoom out for a second and see how these statements all lock together to create this single, coherent foundation of faith.
This table lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? You can see the whole journey we've just taken. We started with purity, that simple core declaration. Then we moved to testimony, making it a personal act. From there, we expanded to glorification, praising God's majesty. And finally, we affirmed his absolute oneness and power in detail. Each step just builds so logically on the one before it.
And that really brings us to our final thought. So what's the big takeaway here? It isn't just to memorize 4 separate phrases. It's about understanding this beautiful progression of belief. Each kalma adds a new layer of meaning, a deeper level of commitment, building from one simple, pure idea into a complete and comprehensive worldview.